It's not working. Oh no. Does it not support? Oh, okay, it does. My bad. Took a while though. Alright, let's begin the multi-core test. Oh boy, I sure took my sweet time. Oh no, please tell me the result is still here. I don't wanna... Oh, okay. Oh, nice. Okay, so the single core test is, I think, the same, but the multi-core is absolutely demolishing the MacBook. Let me check the single core for the MacBook. So, that MacBook is better at single core operations, but definitely not as good with the multi-core. So, oh yeah, and the double the storage compared to my MacBook, and double the RAM. Plus, you know... Oh, what is this? Updates. So another thing I forgot to test, my mom's computer, which has an Intel i7-3517U. The better version of the Intel i5 that the MacBook Air has. And we're gonna run Cinebench R23 on my mom's laptop as well. Because I want to see, is the Celeron N5100 that good of a budget option that's able to defeat old flagship laptop CPUs? Maybe. Just maybe. So this is the laptop in question, which for some reason still has me and my dog, or well, rat, quote unquote, as the background. The computer costs around 800 to 1,000 euros at the time it was released, which was 2013, 2014, maybe even 2012. I'm not sure. I have opened it up a couple of times to clean the dust from the fan. It is old because, you know, this is already falling off. The battery doesn't hold any type of charge anymore. Stuck at 96%, but if you were to unplug it, it would die immediately. Like, look at that, 76. Plug it back in, 95. It really can't make up its mind, you know. So the computer is running mostly on the external power, the charging cable. A little bit on the battery, but the battery barely holds any juice, as you just saw. Maybe for like 10 seconds before it died. Like a UPS that's not fully charged, you know. Thank you, Mom, for not locking the laptop with a password so I can test it out. Thank you. Luckily, this laptop has Ethernet cable, you know. Uses Ethernet, and it immediately downloaded the Cinebench zip file for installing the application. Extract all. For an old computer, I'm very thankful it does use an SSD. A Samsung 850 or 860 EVO with 256 gigabytes of storage, which she got it for free because the hard drive originally failed after like a couple of years of normal use. Well, normal. Luckily, the fan isn't too dusty yet, but it still has its original thermal paste, which will definitely worsen its potential performance that it could achieve. Oh, and forgot to mention, it's Valentine's today. Who is my Valentine? Oh wait, no one. I'm single again. Anyway, after that fun fact, let's open up Cinebench. Yeah, let's go, baby. Yeah. Great. What I do expect this computer to do way better, like a lot better, is single core immediately. This should easily trash that Celeron in. Multi-core, it's got great potential to also destroy the multi-core compared to that Celeron. So this i7 has a great shot currently at defeating that Celeron N5100. The only disadvantages of this computer, which are very apparent: dying battery. That was cringe. Old DDR3 RAM, only 4 GB single channel, so at least they both have single channel this time. Something they share, sadly. At 1600 MHz. The fan is a bit old, maybe a little dusty still. It does use an i7, which has hyperthreading, which is very neat. The display also is a lower resolution, so the integrated graphics and potentially the still, maybe even inactive dedicated graphics have to struggle less to support this screen. The screen is 1366 by 768 LCD with great viewing angles. Very sarcastic. It does also help that the screen is way smaller than the one I'm using for that mini computer. This screen is 15.6 inches. The one I use for that mini computer is 22.9 inches. Slightly bigger than that monitor. Yeah, it's actually going fairly fast for such an old processor. So to save time, I'm going to also run this test on my computer, and we'll see how it goes. The main disadvantage for my computer is it has 2 displays. So yeah, that will definitely affect performance, but you know, I'll just turn the brightness down so it uses less power. And give more power to the CPU, which I'm hoping is better than this computer, or else I just spent $130 on a computer that has a better process than this boy. Because Jesus, that flickering has not gone away whatsoever. Yep. Oh, and this CPU also has hyperthreading, and so does that one. So yeah, that's their main advantage with the multi-core test against that Celeron. They both have hyperthreading. Sadly, that Celeron doesn't, which is a big disadvantage when it comes to the multi-core test. And as you can see, my AMD CPU is just running ahead. That one is on its second run, and look where it's at. It's nowhere close to where this is already at. And look at that. For rendering, the first one already passed. And I got a slight feeling that my processor isn't good as 11th gen Intel i7. But god damn, my processor did well considering it was released at the time of what? 8th gen Intel processors? Not bad at all. Now it's on its second render. Well, that one is currently trying to finish its second render. Let's see if mine can actually catch up in time, considering that computer got a huge head start. Well, at least 5 minutes of a head start, because this one is already at 5 minutes. Yeah, and that one's already 0 minutes left, 0 everything. So that Celeron N5100 is from 2021. Beats this 2012 MacBook Air that costs originally $1,200. It just defeats this one. It's honestly funny. With an Intel i5 3317U, and it might also defeat the Intel i7 3517U. We're gonna have to find out though. By how much will it might defeat it for? So it only has, you know, this processor, it has 2 cores and 4 threads running at 2.4 gigahertz. It's got a bigger body, sadly with plastic on the bottom, but it's also lifted up to give it more, like, you know, more circulation of air. 1350. This computer with an Intel i7 gets absolutely trashed on. Actually, it performed worse the second time. Look, that's this processor, right? 1375. Then the second run, it had 15 points less. Okay, let's consider the better option. 1375. That is still worse than the Intel Celeron and barely better than the Intel i5. And this has a bigger fan than that MacBook Air. This one has a big heatsink and everything, but it gets trashed on. This one is still running its courses, so let's set this one for its single core test and see how that plays out. Oh, that is barely moving. What? I know it's old, but wow! Like, yeah, this is multi-core. Okay, I can't compare it yet. This is single core. Okay, it's going a bit faster. I think it started to turbo. And now it's slowed down as soon as I zoomed in. Okay, it is going faster, so it did start to turbo its clock speed, so that's good at least. Alright, my AMD CPU is done. Oh no! Sure, it scored better, but only by 1,000. And yes, that sounds weird saying only, but still, this computer, in 2020, late 2020, might I add, costs 800 euros. With a GTX 1050 from 2014, and an AMD Ryzen 5 3500U from definitely before 2020. With a display that sucked even before this flickering problem. Single channel 8 gigs of RAM, which I luckily upgraded to dual channel 32 gigs to increase performance. Barely, well, not by barely, but it did edge out the Celeron by only 1,000 points. Which honestly feels disappointing considering how much more expensive this laptop was. And yes, that computer, the tiny one, without a coupon, costs 140 bucks with shipping included. Without shipping, it's 131 euros. With the coupon I added, it was 135 with shipping. So, it's not that much more. Actually, it's not even more. It's way less. It's got better value than that, but it's got no upgradability. At least easy upgradability. It is from a random Chinese brand that, when I did some research on, is actually well trusted. Great job, Chuwi. Even the monitor I got, aka this one, but an equivalent monitor I'm using for that mini PC upstairs, is 50 bucks. So was this monitor. So, in total, less than 200 bucks for the entire computer. The keyboard, a little under 20 bucks, because it's a random Explorer keyboard, maybe even less. The mouse is great quality. Luckily, I already had it before. That's the good part. HDMI already available, keyboard already available, mouse already available. These three assets. Also, the monitor, barely, not that expensive for a monitor, you know, 50 bucks. 1080p, not even that old, so let's just count those three. So the mouse was free, the keyboard was free, the HDMI cable was already there, you know, from before. Actually, it was in here, not being used, so yeah, not bad, I have to say. So yeah, that's a bit disappointing. Now I'm gonna do the single core test. Let's see how it runs this time, huh? Alright, rendering pass 1 is almost finished. Very much almost. That one got a huge head start, but look at that. It's nowhere close to finishing. So if it isn't obvious, newer is definitely sometimes better in this case. And it performed beautifully, placing 9th place with a pretty good chunk of points. 906. Not bad at all for a budget and mid-range type of CPU. What? Oh, okay, I thought it got too hot or something. No, No, please tell me you didn't just go into sleep. Oh, whoa, I just clicked on it. Oh, yeah. So it's pretty obvious what part of that Celeron lacks in performance. Clearly, it's the single core tests. Single core is where it performs the worst. So, pretty much, if you want multi-core to be very good and very affordable, just buy a Celeron. Maybe even newer than the one I got, 2022 instead of 2021. Or even better, 2023 when it comes out. But if you need single core, couple-year-old laptop like this one, recommend getting something better than this. This one has caused me so many problems after like 2 years of use. But yeah, Celeron lacks in single core, but absolutely packs a good punch in multi-core tests. And before I end the video, here's some pictures of the worst multi-core performance to the best multi-core performance.